There we go. All right, officially. Hello, it's May. And if I look out my window, it is like lemon lime outside, which is so much better than just brown and, gray and white. So, welcome to spring in central New York. And sometimes, May and June gets busier and we have less people on the call just because there's so many more activities happening. But I love this combination because if April joins us as well, it's a new combination. And I always think there's a lot to learn from new combinations of women being together, especially when they're across the region. So thank you for joining me. As you know, Women Ties is here to help women promote their names and market themselves on our platform so that they can meet other women and create stronger economic ties and hopefully increase their sales potential. With that being said, I'm going to give you each 4 to 5 minutes. I'll kind of time you a little bit. And you can explain whatever it is you want to about your business or what you have upcoming. And then at the end, when we have more time, we can open it up for questions and we'll just go from there. I sent you the sales contact list so that you have just went out via email. So if you didn't get it or print it, that's okay. It'll be there for you. And I'm recording this, so I'll be able to send this to you after our event is over. So with that being said, Cynthia, why don't you, and very appropriate since I've known Cynthia for a long time, but it's her first membership call. And she's been in the business of helping women in business for a long time too. So Jody and Jack, you'll really enjoy meeting Cynthia. So Cynthia, go ahead. It's all yours.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you, Jody and Jackie. I've had a career in economic development, entering that field with a master's degree in public administration and a stint in the Peace Corps before that. So my interest in helping women in business was established there, and I got involved in some projects that were Grameen-based type of projects before the Grameen Bank was established. Came back home, worked for the city of Auburn, and I met Tracy just at a time when I wanted to establish something called the Cuba Women's Business Trust. And that is patient dollars for women in Cuyahoga County who live in Cuyahoga County and own and want to expand or operate a business in Cuyahoga County. But one of the things I wanted to do today with my master's degree in public administration, my focus is on state and local finance. So kind of a finance hat. For the past 2.5 years, I've been the executor for my brother's estate. And I want to offer my services as an executor doula. A doula, a birth doula, a death doula helps people transition through transition times. And I want to be a support to someone taking on the responsibility, and or if the folks that are at the point where they want to name an executor, I'd also like to offer myself up to say, here's what you can do to really help your loved one if and when they say yes. Because it's a bigger job than I think we all imagine we're asking our loved one to do, and we don't want our loved one to suffer. So I can sit with somebody who's thinking about naming an executor, and then I can sit with someone who's thinking about saying yes, and I can sit with people who are both of those individuals to provide encouraging guidance, act as a process partner, provide assurance, be a voice of experience, and companionship during the time. I've created a executive best practices sort of list for myself and sat down with an attorney to have him point out where I need to make sure that I don't practice law without a license. So, and you are the first people beyond my husband and that attorney that I've said this to. So I know that's not 5 minutes, but that's what I got, and I'll ask you to give me feedback and questions as is appropriate.
All right. Well, I just want to say, I think that's an awesome idea. I've never ever thought of it. I mean, I've never thought of the idea of having it, and yet you're right. We just recently had to we just recently did our will, and we have our son who's all into finance, as an engineer, as our executor, and we have our son who is a PA and a doctor as our medical. So, but you know what I mean? Everything's being left to both of them. But I don't know if we actually asked Adam. I think we just kind of appointed him, and I know he works with millions and billions of budgets, so ours would be very small compared to what he's used to. But it's a good point about asking people too, just the simple bit of asking. So I am so glad. I'm going to have everybody else. I'll stop my comments and I'll wait and have them introduce themselves, and then let's open it up for discussion for any questions you have for Cynthia. Does that sound good? All right. So Cynthia, if you can mute yourself again, and then Jody, I think you were next. So why don't you go ahead and have your 5 minutes?
Okay, so Cynthia, you're in Auburn now, so you went to the Auburn UU as well, didn't you? Yeah, okay. I don't know if we ever actually crossed paths there, but that's where I know your name from. I was thinking it was from First UU, but no, it's from the Auburn UU. Okay, so my name is Jody Brown. I live in Seneca Falls, New York. My business is Holy Education, which I like to explain, and I know Jackie and Tracy have heard this many times now, comes from when I discovered that the three words heal, H-E-A-L, whole, W-H-O-L-E, and holy, H-O-L-Y, all come from the same root word, which just fascinated me that those three concepts were so intertwined that at one point in time we only needed one word for those three concepts. We're getting back to it with the whole holistic idea, but holy education is W-H-O-L-L-Y, kind of a play on those words. And my focus in life is helping women to explore the connection between health and spirituality. I think there are a lot of people who are very health oriented, health conscious, and I think there are a lot of people who are very spirituality oriented and spirituality conscious, but I don't think they very often overlap, and I don't think people, and I particularly like to work with women, always see that connection. So that's my mission in life. In addition to my Holy Education business, which I have to really admit is a hobby right now. It's not my primary focus. I'm a Suzuki piano instructor. That is my day job. That's what pays the bills. And I'm also a ULC ordained wedding officiant. And I counted the other day, since 2016, even though I've been ordained since 2001, I didn't start doing weddings till 2016. So since 2016, I have officiated at over 60 weddings. Well, yeah, I was quite a surprise when I was counting them up. And I try to take pictures at all of them. I have pictures for 60, and I know there are some that I don't have pictures for, so I know it's over 60. And it is, at this point in my life, I love piano teaching. I truly love it. And that's where Jackie and I have the overlap. I taught her grandson for the first 6 months, until after 6 months I realized I'm a beginner teacher. He needed a virtuoso teacher, so he went on to another instructor. But wedding officiant is really my second love. And then my third love is the women spirituality and health connection. I have had a very interesting last year. A very lot of, I broke my toe last March, a year ago in March, and then I had cataract surgery in August, and then I got COVID in September. My mom passed away in November, and then this past February I had bunion surgery, which I am still 10, 11 weeks later still recuperating from. And I also, and in the midst of all this, we put my husband's house on the market. I finally finished doing all the cleaning out, painting, everything that needed to be done last Tuesday. It went on the market Thursday. It sold yesterday. For $30,000 over our asking price. Meanwhile, I got a cold from doing all that work. So I have not done a lot with my Holy Education business this whole past year. It's really been quite a hiatus for me, and I do look forward to getting back into it now that the house is sold, once my foot is finally healed. And I'm also writing a book. Now I've been writing a book for years. I've written like so many different books. I'm so good at starting things. I have great creative ideas and no follow through. But this one, my turning 70, my journey. I turned 70 last May. I'll be 71 this month. And this whole past year, how much time do I have left, Tracy? I don't want to tell.
A minute to go.
All right, well, I'll make this one really quick. I used to think that when you turned 50, life was all downhill from there. And I don't mean downhill in like in a bad way, but downhill like an easy ride, like skiing down the ski slope downhill. And it surprised the crap out of me to learn that you kept learning shit. No matter how old you get, you keep learning shit. What the fuck? What is up with that?
This is
So,
being recorded. Beep, beep.
sorry. So this story I want to write is how this past year has been such a healing one in so many ways. Not physically, I think my body is trying to tell me, slow down. You have inner healing to go on as well, and that's what I've been doing a lot, and that's why I think the business has been on a little bit of hiatus, because even as a health coach, as a women's retreat leader, the more I go through, the better able I am to help other people. So that's my story. Thank you.
Very true. Well, you have, hey, that's awesome news. Glad the house sold so fast. We usually have Jill Bates on here from Rochester, who's a realtor. Where is she when she could have jumped in? Because I don't know if the market, is still such that, houses are going really quick. It sounds like it,
Oh, that's what my realtor told us, because very foolishly we were going to put the house on the market in March, but I had this bunion surgery in February and did not connect that I was not going to be physically able to
Right.
get the house ready to put on the market until my foot was better healed. But Betsy kept telling me, and my realtor is a former piano student of mine.
And a female, so I like that. Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
Well,
She kept telling me, "Oh, don't worry. The market is good. The market, it will sell. It will sell. It will sell." And she was right. It did. It sold. We had 10 offers. 10. Yeah.
it's a
So,
lot. All right. Well, congrats to you. Let's get Jackie Michael on here. Let's see what she's got to share. The wisdom from Jackie Michael. There you go. You're unmuted.
Thank you. Yeah, and Jody, I love the way you ended your talk. It was great. So, Cynthia, I'll say a few things about myself so you kind of get where I'm coming from. And again, Jody and Tracy have heard this 100 times probably. But anyway, I was trained as a clinical social worker. Actually, just the other day, realized I graduated in 1963 with my master's and have been practicing ever since. At this point in my life, I still continue with a few clients, and I have been consulting in Utica with United Cerebral Palsy, created a workshop along with another clinical social worker called Creating a Culture of Gratitude and it was United Cerebral Palsy, but they changed their name. They had a new launch called United Caring Partners. And we did a final follow-up on Friday, actually, and the results were fabulous, way beyond what I expected. In terms of people really shifting their attitudes about, well, one woman these were the top executives talking about how negative they became aware of how negative they were, and they're working every day to shift that. And also, one woman talked about retaining an employee, which is one of the key things about gratitude in businesses and organizations is retention of employees and more profits in business. So anyway, that's all what I've been doing. And because I have all that going on, I'm and also because of my mindset, I'm like this about my my other little venture here. So Tracy was thinking I wasn't even going to rejoin, but then I was in a good mood. I said, I got to keep doing this. Plus, Tracy, I want to get together and discuss this, but I'd love feedback today. So one of the things I came up with, really giving some thought to this, let me backtrack a little for you, Cynthia. I created with my son many years ago what we called greenbirthday.org. And that is, at the time that was created, I would talk with people about gratitude and the connection to the environment, which I really learned out of my relationship and new knowledge really about the Native American culture, particularly in this area. And so people never knew what I was talking about. And it's in fact still a stretch for people to be able to get that. As I heard one Native person say, we belong to the land doesn't belong to us. I'd say probably most people in this country don't get it. So anyway, and I'll just mention this just for the heck of it in case anyone else is interested. I have it's the husband of a great niece of mine told me I should read the book How to Build a Story Brand. I think that's the name of it. It talks about how to communicate about what you're doing. And after giving a lot of thought to what am I really committed to at this point in my life, has to do with fundamentally the environment and climate change. And well, I didn't say to Cynthia, I had written a book during the pandemic focusing on parenting called Hooray for Parents. So, and part of my dilemma in being focused about this whole initiative about parenting, gratitude, all that has been, there's so many avenues there's so many, you could say target markets. Plus with my experience, it could be leadership, it could be anything. So this is what I came up with, and I was eager to share this and have people react to it. So my website now is called Gratitude Leads. Gratitude Leads offers resources to help environmental moms meet the challenges of the current cultural mindset of hyper-individualism, materialism, and the disconnect from Mother Earth. The products on my website include the book, Hooray for Parenting, and the workbook, Green Birthday Invitations, Thank You Notes for Kids, and an artistic poster for Native American, an artistic poster of the Native American thank you address. So that's my current shtick. But anyway, that's really what I have to say.
I like that it all kind of does, because that's when I first met you. You were doing your environmental company. And then you wrote the book. And so I like, especially having come out of this Global Citizen event where everything is, well, not everything, but that is one of the key arms of this globalcitizen.org is the environment, defending the environment, going plant-based, cutting going to net zero carbon, just fascinating. So I just put their website up there for you, and I'm going to just naturally lead into that, and then
Okay.
I'm going to have us all have a conversation if that's okay. Okay, so globalcitizen.org, I put their website right there. I've been involved with them for, I think, 3 years, 4 years now. And basically, their three main causes are defeating poverty, demanding equity, and defending the planet. And they're asking for more people to join the movement to change the world. So what happens is a lot of it is very easy because it's tweeting or social sharing messages that they want to get out there, and taking quizzes that educate you on, some of these different prongs of their causes. So, what's happening with women in Nigeria. It can be everything to tweeting to the prime ministers of France and Canada because you want to get them more involved in going to net zero. So very simple, costs nothing. And then what happens is you earn action points as you're taking these quizzes and doing these actions, and then you can put in for rewards. So I won, the $2,500 ticket to the Global Citizen event that was this past Friday. And, President Macron came on live. John Legend was there. I mean, the names of the people that were on that stage talking. And the day before, they had Trudeau from Canada was there in person. Chris Martin from the band, I can't think of it, Coldplay. I mean, they have different. I walked in with Katie Holmes. I mean, you're talking star-studded individuals, politicians, as a collaboration that are coming together to try to move, especially towards protecting the planet so that we don't just kind of go away. So one of the panels was, there is a female CEO of Delta, and she was sitting next to an individual who is taking fuel and making it carbon free. And Delta is it's very expensive. So Delta is working to try to help. So there's a lot of individuals that are impassioned in their own areas that are then collaboratively working together across the globe in order to make this difference. So impressed. I can't even tell you. I was sitting there pinching myself like, how did Tracy Higginbotham get to sit in this audience, like in the front row? Like, hello. So, and then I think, sometimes I'm like, what am I supposed to do with my life? Women entrepreneurs are sick and tired of hearing from me. And then, the woman from WeConnect.org was speaking. And then I went up to her afterwards, as I said, and she was just like, oh my God, you've been doing it a long time. You should, so I'm now trying to see how I can get involved with them to learn more about what they're doing internationally, because the woman that spoke that was for human rights, so that was one of the panels, was human rights, is like Malala. She comes from Afghanistan. Her name is Pashta. I don't know the rest. Her and I've already tweeted back and forth. Talk about a powerful female who had to leave her country, came over on a visa to go to college at Wesley to continue her human rights work. And she said, people look at me and they think I want to stay here in America. She goes, I don't. I want to go back to Afghanistan, and I want to make things better for women in Afghanistan. I mean, just the snippets of what everyone is doing. So I think, Jackie, especially with what you're doing and what you have done with the green effort, you definitely should just connect with them. They talk back and forth. You can just become a member for free. And then you might be able to get connected to somebody that's beyond, what I know about what they do specifically in the green sector. Of course, I'm there because, and who was impressive was the AG of New York State. I wasn't sure because I don't know that much about her. And she came out very quiet and sat down, and Tamara Hall was interviewing her. And man, wow. Oh, she was my favorite and powerful speaker. I mean, and the girls, there were so many young, amazing young females in this audience that were just getting lifted up by listening to how many, and they had very good equal representation, I have to say too, which is, I was looking for. So anyways, I could go on and on, but I won't. But if you could check out globalcitizen.org, sign up, become involved, tell others about it. It's just a great way to help our planet together. And it might lead you to other things that can open doors for all of you as well. So that's all I have to say. Like a rock star. I swear. And the cool thing is I got to bring a woman I had never met before, only met her through Facebook, and somehow we connected through running. I thought it was, she ran with me in the Boston Marathon, but it wasn't. And she's a woman that was from Nigeria that ended up in France, who moved over to here. She was so grateful to get a free ticket. She almost like plowed me over, hugging me so hard, and just said, "This is the nicest thing anybody has ever done for me." And I said, "You know what? It looks like you do a lot of amazing stuff for other people." I said, "You know what? My son didn't want to go with me. I didn't have anybody else to go with. I put it out there. You said yes. I say, come on, girl, let's go." And so, you talk about gratitude. I mean, she was like getting me food. I'm like, you don't have to like get me food. I'm happy to get my own food. And, but just amazing. That's all I can say. So connecting to them, because I know Cynthia's background as well, and I know you, Jackie, and I think you could somehow benefit from knowing them more. So that is all I will say about that. I'll let you guys talk amongst yourselves, or I'll sit here just blabbing more. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh, I have a suggestion for Jackie.
Oh, wonderful.
I've been doing a great deal of research about getting certified as a B Corp, and a B Corp, rather than standing for C, it stands for better, for the mutual benefit of all. So just go online, check out B Corp, and there's lots of YouTube videos about it as well. As an individual, you can become B Corp certified. And when you, there are, let's see if I get this right, 200 questions that you'll be asked, and you need to be affirmative on 80 of them to be eligible. And they are environment, governance, society, employees, and I'm forgetting one, the 5 areas of focus. But what you talked about your business doing, I think I heard covers them all. And I think an individual is $50. And you are recertified every year. But the idea of recertifying every year is basically to benchmark yourself against yourself so that you improve. But one of the huge benefits I notice is that B Corp certified companies do business with each other. So at a point, at least in my life, when I'm pretty picky about who I want my clients to be, this certification is really attracting me, because it would be like-minded people that would be reaching out and wanting to implement these changes in their companies.
Well,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that is really neat. Cynthia, maybe you can, because she has such a big background in it. So is social entrepreneurship kind of fit underneath that B Corp concept, or is social entrepreneurship really a different idea?
Well, it turns out that there are a lot of social entrepreneurs who are B Corp members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, at least that's my understanding at this time based on my research.
Yeah, because I've kind of realized, I'm haven't made millions, not going to make millions of dollars, but the definition of social entrepreneur sort of feels like it fits me, just because I'm trying, it's more of a movement, trying to change society in a way than it is about me making a lot of money. It's, you know what I mean? So I've always wondered if I should use the word social entrepreneur in my verbiage. A lot of these people, the global citizen, are using the word activist. And I feel that's kind of like me in some way, but I think it also brings another feeling.
Yeah, I think social entrepreneur fits you better. Now, after what I said, Patagonia is a B Corp certified business. Procter & Gamble owns 7th Generation. Procter & Gamble's not certified, but 7th Generation is. So because for a number of reasons. So there are a lot of money-making companies involved too. But the idea is that, based on what you said, as we do what we're passionate about and good at together, we're lifting, all boats are rising all at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So it's another model that I'm appreciating.
Yeah, and there was the brand officer of Procter & Gamble was actually on one of the panels talking about women I actually videotaped him, and I'm like, wow, Tracy's videotaping a dude that, you know, but he's supporting women, and what he had to say was very, very interesting. So, yeah, and his conversations is their marketing wants to be more about equality within the household, so that, you know, their ads are showing, like, even as people age, that now if the husband's retired, he's helping the wife with laundry, or you know what I mean? They're trying to bring in a quality message through their advertising in the ways that they've never done before. So that's why I taped them. So, anyways, it's, you know, yeah. Okay, all of you. Okay, Jackie or Jody, have questions or conversations or?
I am so sorry my internet keeps going out. I feel like I've missed half the meeting here, and I apologize. I don't know what's going on. So go ahead, Jackie. I'm sorry.
Jody, your background is beautiful.
It is.
So when I went off the last time, I actually rebooted my whole computer because I was hoping that would help. And I have two different Wi-Fi's that I can connect to.
Yeah, different Wi-Fi channels.
So I connected to a different Wi-Fi channel, which is the one I had before. This is a background from a conference that I went to a couple weeks ago, and I had connected to the other Wi-Fi channel, and obviously it's only on this Wi-Fi channel. Isn't that weird? I didn't know things would change, but yeah.
Doesn't make sense to
Yeah,
me.
I told Cynthia before you guys got on that the panel about artificial intelligence lost me. It was the only panel. There were, of course, two guys talking about it with a male moderator, and I'm like, what are they talking about? But it's, you know, I guess there's been recently something with a grandmother that got a call that was the actual voice of her niece. And because it actually was the voice of her niece that they had stolen from something, the grandmother believed it. Because, so they're saying this, you know, AI, as we get going, is going to get, it's going to complicate our lives a little bit more. So anyways, your background reminded me of the AI conversation.
Have you guys ever heard of a movie? Oh, Dave, what's the name of the movie? Ex Machina? Is that right? Ex Machina? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I highly recommend this movie. Talking about AIs. I won't give you the spoiler alert ending, but really it's all about AIs. And after watching this movie, I firmly believe that the ending they show in that movie is what's going to happen to us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jackie, you were trying to say something and I interrupted, and I've taken it all off on a whole different course here. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, I could respond to a whole lot of different things. The AI thing, I'll just say one day I was going somewhere with my son-in-law and some other family members. I don't remember who was there. And he has the software for what's called GP chat or something like that.
Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Chat GPT.
Chat, right. So he just says for his company, which is called Webucator, he said, write me a good promotional statement for Webucator. Inside of seconds, this this thing came up. It was unbelievable. But I also read something just this morning. My husband got his architecture degree at MIT, and their magazine just came in, and it was a very positive comment on AI in the classrooms, that actually it could help develop critical thinking, so that for students, they get something put together on AI and then they reflect on the flaws and so forth. So that was, then I was just going to add one other thing about what I've done recently. That's, well, I always say I got roped into this by a good friend. Although I used to be a Utica Rotarian, there's now the New Hartford Rotary created a satellite environmental club. And this friend wanted me to rejoin and be part of that. But it's gotten me to thinking about this whole conversation about the climate. And because so much of the climate discussion is about fear. And so the thing I'm interested in developing, I've been thinking of it like you could think of it as fear versus love. And I have a wonderful book I'm in the middle of reading. And I think the Native American approach is really connecting and understanding how we're just part of the whole system, and that the earth is giving us life. And so I'm going to do some talks in Rotary about that. And I'm developing that as a way of communicating. Not that the other isn't critical, but so that's my take on that. And then I wanted to ask Cynthia, how do you charge for this service that you're offering?
Well, I haven't come to a conclusion about that. What I failed to ask you earlier is that I want to work with a client who would be my very first. There would be no charge. So to get me going and help me decide. At this point, probably hourly. And I've checked on other doulas, death doulas and birth doulas, charge between $100 and $150 an hour. So it'll be something that I need to work out.
So Jody was waving her hands.
Oh, I would be ever so interested. My husband and I both, yes. Now that we've got his house sold, here we are, we're 70 years old and we don't have wills yet. Can you believe that? We don't have wills. So
well, that's where you need to start.
Right.
And then call me after you have your will.
Okay. All right.
Or at least have it drafted, because usually with the will you need to name someone in it. So after it's drafted.
We have talked about it. We've gotten that far. We've talked about it. We know we need to do it.
I think it's a hard subject. My husband and I, especially when our sons were younger and had to think about the guardianship question, of course, I wanted it with somebody in my family and he wanted it with somebody in his family, and we could never agree. So we tabled it, but now the boys are old enough. So, and it's really important to do. I mean, my father passed away of a stroke very suddenly. We had 6 days to make a decision on his life. The 5 of us made the decision based on what we thought he wanted, but it carried with us a lot of guilt because we eventually let him, pass on instead of keeping him on. And for a long time, we all felt guilty about that. Should have we held on longer? So ever since then, I have felt very strong about having a will, because it just takes that off of the people around you, Cynthia, you probably know more than I do about, but yeah. And then I know how much it takes, especially because my mother was she was companions with a man who was married before his wife died. Put it this way, he left the executorship to his nephew. And it was so stressful between the nephew and my mother because they thought she was a gold digger, but they had this. You would have been a perfect person, Cynthia, to be in the middle of that nightmare of there being such, and it was spelled out, but it still wasn't.
Yep.
It was distrust, on both parties. And so it just was a very long, unnecessary burden for both of them, really, So I can see where your services would have been super appropriate. And I kept saying to my mom, you need your own attorney. And my mom's like, I don't want to pay for my own attorney. And I'm like, well, Mom, sometimes, she's like, no, it's written out in agreement. I won't get into it farther because I don't want to take time away. But it was, again, I can see where exactly what you're suggesting, Cynthia, would have been very helpful.
So I'm just curious, Cynthia, are there any other people out there like that? Or is this something, a unique idea that you've come up with? Or have you
my search on LinkedIn comes up with none. Okay. And the meeting with the attorney, he indicated why. And he said, yeah, but he said, Cynthia, you're safe if you are answering every question to say, this is my experience and this is what I did. So that's easy. And he picked out 3 items on my list of best practices that I have to say, clearly, this is what I did, but please refer that question back to the estate attorney.
Right, right.
Yep, so
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any. So one of the things I've been playing around in my mind is, should I trademark executor doula?
I did not know what executive doula meant, though. I didn't until you explained it. I didn't put executor. I didn't put it. I did not put it together. So not that you wouldn't want to necessarily trademark what the category is, but maybe you'd need some other line. I don't know. I don't know.
Right, I might need a tagline along with it. I'll have to check with an attorney to see if once I do that, I'll just be spending a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
Supporting the trademark.
Right, right.
Rather than what I really want to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand. Right.
I was thinking of it as kind of coaching. Is that fair to say?
It has an element of coaching, but I'm also interested in being that companion process partner to really get into some of the grief, some of the feelings that come along with either as an executor probably not being able to meet expectations of others.
Jackie's.
And maybe Jackie, I just don't. Your degree would maybe say, well, Cynthia, that is coaching.
Well, yes and no. You know, I'm just trying to put this all together in my head. I've had experiences with, well, I can give you a couple of examples. Actually, a lawyer who's a client of mine in Houston, who had somebody, an old friend that she hadn't been in touch with at all, who named her as an executor. And she told me what a nightmare of a process it was. And she had the deceased had not left any adequate information or directives. And so that's one situation. And then I'm trying to think, it seems like I've had clients where there's all this family fighting and tension, and I'm wondering how, if you have a situation with let's say one part of the family starts to vie for the money of another, even though there is a will, how would you, as the let's say the doula, intervene in something like that?
Well, my hope is that I'd be invited in early, as in I said, as an individual is writing their will, so that what they want to have happen is legally a will, so that it is absolutely represented in the document. And then if I can't be in that early, at the moment that the person is starting to think about being an executor, they've been invited, but they haven't said yes, that's the next key moment for me to be able to say, all right, this is what you need to learn from your loved one about what they want to see happen. And then the next release thing is, okay, I've already said yes. The documents are what the documents say. Cynthia, would you come in and help me? And then I would help that person get established his or her standard operating procedure for how they're going to go forward, and what things are critical in terms of communication to all the loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And what they need to get in writing, even though they wouldn't think that they would need to have their sister or brother or nephew or niece sign something, that be a standard practice for them.
That makes me think of something. It's more related to dying, and I don't know if I have it right here. It's called the 5 Agreements, and actually a niece who's a minister gave it to me, In fact, if you Google that, but it's just a pamphlet for you that asks you some questions, about what you want at your funeral or what you want your loved one. Something like that would be a great sort of piece to make it clear how you could help. So
Excellent. Thank you.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Of course, I'm older than everybody here, so
No, you're not.
but I know all these people with all their elderly ailments and losses. So
That's years of experience, Jackie. Years of experience.
oh yeah, yeah.
Insight and wisdom to go along with that.
Yes.
I guess the other thing I wonder is, who would you be targeting? Would you be trying to target lawyers to refer their clients to you?
No, I want to start only in New York State because I'm only familiar with my experiences. And I'm told by the attorney that I spoke with that by now in Cuyahoga County, for instance, there are 40 people that have been named executors. So I plan just to go and that's public information. I just plan to go to the circuit court, get a list of the people that have been named, and probably send a note. Sorry for the loss of, this is what I do should you happen to need. And I plan to do it with snail mail.
Yeah.
Very
So
good.
that's they're listed as executors after the person passes.
Right in, it's named in the will, and then the circuit's court has to officially name you and certify an executor as such.
But that's, I mean, you're not gonna. How can I ask my question? Because my head is so foggy right now. If a will is made, the executor isn't made public knowledge at that point.
Correct.
Okay, it's just after the person passes that it becomes public knowledge.
Right, and the will starts to go through probate.
Okay. Because that, boy, if you could get that target market, those people who have been named executors, boy, if there was someone you had access to that.
No, that'll have to be through word of mouth.
Yeah.
And that's also how I'll know that I'm being sent the right people, because that's out of my control.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I've got your contact information. I'm seriously very interested. This may be the motivation that Dave and I need to get our asses in gear to get a will going.
You should, just for my experience, but you know what I mean? Just because of my own, because it just lingers, especially if you have kids, or if you have multiple kids. My youngest brother is 20 years younger than I am. So his question to the four of us that were older was, but aren't we supposed to have hope? As we're making this decision. And I had been talking with my cousins who are doctors, and after the stroke, basically killed 70% of my father's brain, my cousins are telling me, Tracy, he's never going to be who he was. And so that's what I had to say to my brother Jake, was, so you know what I mean? There's just so many individual thoughts and relationships and personalities that are involved. So I can just see where somebody like Cynthia could come in and make it easier, or, help. You need somebody to kind of show the bigger picture, I think.
And just offer their area of expertise, that they have been through it. When it's the first time you're going through it yourself, it's like going through birth the first time. You don't know what to expect. Once you've been through it, then So I think doula is a very appropriate word.
Well, awesome. Well,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cynthia.
I just want to thank Jody for saying that doula is appropriate.
Okay, well, we have only a couple minutes to close out, so I just want to say a few things. And see, this is what's so interesting for Jody and Jackie that are on our calls. You never know which way you never know what conversation's going to come up when we do this, because it's either based on something somebody says, it's you never know. So this has been really fascinating. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Just wanted to let you know that I have the recording, so I'll send it to all of you so you have it. And again, you have the sales contact list so that you can make connections after this phone call. If you're interested, next Tuesday, we have a live event in Rochester with Lori DiProspero, who is the owner of Union Place Coffee Roasters. And she just went to South America, worked on building a house in the community where she gets the coffee from. And it was $2,500. It's called the Four Walls Project. And she donated that much money. And she went down there and she has a story to share with us. And I think it's really exciting because it ties into kind of philanthropy as an entrepreneur. So to me, it goes with my global citizen. So I'm going to kind of share some of that information as well. And so that's right at her place, which smells like coffee, and it's great, on the 9th. And then our Women's Athletic Network has 2 events coming up. Of course, I think most of you know my lifetime goal is to try every sport once. As we were talking, I was getting messages from the rugby place that they want to have me on the 23rd of May. So, maybe the next, I hope I don't break a bone or something. Nothing bad has happened quite yet. But on May 20th, we're going to be in Rome and we're going to do kayaking on Lake Delta because somebody wanted to do that. I've kayaked before, but you'd have to have a kayak. We're going to try rugby, we think, on May 23rd now, it looks like. And on June 6th, we're doing stand-up paddle yoga in Rochester. Owned by a female. I know Jackie's. I cannot imagine that I'm going to be able to do this sport very well, but I have learned that it's sure worth trying. So we only have 2 spots left. I had women that took it right away. So if you want to try, come on out. And then on June 7th is the next Women Ties member only meeting because I am at my future daughter-in-law's bridal shower on June 2nd and 3rd and 4th weekend in New York. So June 7th would be the next Wednesday. So that is the date, and I will get that put up so that people can register. And
I just want to say that I really appreciate that you continue to put out reminders. I was so last minute about registering for this one today, but I blame all the stuff that I've been doing, with the bunion surgery in the house and everything. But I'm so glad you send those reminders, so I did get on here today. So
I know, because I get I'll say, Cynthia registered last month and we didn't have anybody else, so we canceled last month, and I'm like, maybe people don't like it, but I mean, you never know what month everybody, is interested in doing, and I have to just be a little bit more confident that this helps. I think it helps. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for being here today. I hope that you will all connect. And before I go, anything else anybody wants to say to anybody, or we're all set? All right.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you.
everybody.
Good luck
Thanks,
with everybody.
Nice to meet you.
We'll see
Nice
you
to
next
meet
month.
you too.
And
Bye-bye.
Jackie, I'll connect with you, Jackie. Okay.
I'd
Or do you
love
wanna-
that.
Yeah. Or do you want to stay online for a minute?
We could, yeah.
Just to see if you want to find, let me try to stop I don't know if I can stop the video. Wait, stop. Maybe I can't stop the wait a minute.